Are stars presented better in AEW or WWE? Here's part 2 of this in today's Wrestling Ramble. Now, I did part 1 of this video where I talked about AEW stars that are former WWE guys, and in the case of Cody Rhodes, someone who was in AEW that went to WWE, and how they are presented on programming in the company, how they're treated, and if their run in WWE or AEW is better. I wanted to continue this, and to start part 2 off, let's get into it with Chris Jericho. Now, Jericho really made his name in WWE. He was a part of ECW, WCW, but really became a household name when he made the jump to WWE. He became the first ever undisputed champion, defeating The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night. And he went on to become a 9-time Intercontinental Champion, multiple-time World Champion, multiple-time Tag Team Champion. He won so many belts there. He was always involved in some program of some description. Jericho had an incredible run in WWE, better than his WCW and ECW careers combined, I would say. Better than anything he had done previously. WWE was where he made his name, where he made his mark, and where he became a household name in professional wrestling, where he became a legend. Now, when we are comparing and contrasting Chris Jericho's runs in WWE to AEW, let's start with creative freedom, shall we? In terms of creative freedom, what Chris Jericho is allowed to do on programming in AEW compared to WWE, he's allowed to get away with a lot more. I would say majority of Chris Jericho's ideas make it onto programming, as opposed to WWE, maybe some of them do. He has input, and it's taken into consideration, but ultimately filters through whatever writer he is working with, and then filters through Vince McMahon. Whereas in the case of AEW, the only filter it has to go through is Tony Khan. And Khan, I feel, is more likely to allow Jericho, who he sees as a veteran, not to say he isn't, of course he is, who he sees as a veteran and thinks, I'm going to let him run with these ideas. I'm going to let him do what he thinks is necessary. He knows what he's doing in this business, and that's not a bad mindset to have. But like I touched on in the previous video, some people don't have the best inclinations. Some people don't always have the greatest ideas. And that's what having a final say, whether it be a Vince McMahon or a Tony Khan, to put the hammer down and tell talent, we're not going to do that. And I think in some cases it has been to the detriment of Chris Jericho. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of the Mimosa match. I'm thinking of Jericho wanting to work with every top star or any star that gets to get some kind of momentum going, whether it be Ricky Starks or Adam Cole, whomever it may be, that is getting the ball rolling, getting the crowd on their side, building momentum. Jericho shows up, he swoops in, and there's a program with them. I wasn't a big fan of his feud with MJF. It was a drag, in my opinion. It went on way too long. Now, going back to my previous point, in terms of creative freedom, AEW is much better for Chris Jericho. When it comes to deals he can work out with Tony Khan and AEW, it's much better too. I would imagine the pay is better for Jericho for being a main event star, or being able to insert himself into these programs with potential main eventers like an Adam Cole, or like a Ricky Starks, or like an MJF. AEW is better, whereas in WWE, they're trying to push him out. They don't want to put Jericho in these programs. They don't want him to be in the main event spot. That's not how they view him. But in AEW, they don't have the main event talents. They don't have the big names. And I'm not trying to take a dump on the AEW roster. That's just the fact of the matter here. Also, it's not a fair comparison for Jericho. As I stated, he achieved unbelievable heights in WWE, becoming the first undisputed champion, being able to say you beat The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night. That's an incredible feat by itself. And then reinventing himself, I'm thinking of his 2008 run, where he switched over from tights to the short pants or short tights or whatever you call them, and he became a big time heel. That was great. That was some of the best work that Jericho did in his entire career. At least to me, that was some of the best work he did. I think in AEW, he hasn't really reinvented himself, and it's not to say that he has to, but in AEW, it seems more or less that he is coasting in terms of his presentation on programming. But with how he's been presented as a main eventer, with how he's been paid, and how he gets to do pretty much whatever he wants in have more freedom creatively and financially, AEW is the place to be for Chris Jericho. But when it comes to legacy, his run in WWE far exceeds anything he has done or probably will ever do in AEW. Let me know what you guys think about this. We'll continue this at a later date. For now, that's all I've got, and I'll see y'all later.